With actually it's going to be a bit of a World of Warcraft video. I wanted to do a quick personal update. I haven't made any videos in quite some time, but that's because I kind of went on vacation to a place with no internet for a week. Came back, was super exhausted, didn't want to make any videos for like a week, and then I got a job. So I've been kind of getting used to that, and hopefully I'll start making videos again, maybe like 1 or 2 a week at least. Or when big gaming events happen that I care about. But whew, it is hard to pack in some video making and whatnot, at least of the more what's what I'm looking for here, the in-depth kind that I typically do around a full-time job. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about the upcoming World of Warcraft expansion for once, because I'm kind of waiting on some big events in Warframe to happen so that I can do fun things about them. And the new expansion in World of Warcraft has me pretty hyped up, in some ways. You know, there's been a lot of complaints recently about the writing and the direction that the expansion is going, and I kind of agree with a lot of it, which surprises me a bit, because it's kind of like agreeing with the popular opinion of, you know, forums and Reddit, which is just weird. But anyway, point is that they've kind of bought into a conspiracy theory that's becoming, it started off being a little bit dubious, and now I think is almost definitely the direction the expansion is going, which is that Battle for Azeroth is not going to be a Horde versus Alliance expansion. At least for about half of the expansion or more, it will not be Horde versus Alliance. Not really. Instead, it's going to be all about the Old Gods. It's probably like a bait and switch, and it's the Old Gods expansion for World of Warcraft. Or possibly the latter half of it will be about the Old Gods, and then we'll get another expansion that's actually the Old Gods related, right? And why do I think that? Well, let's go with the initial thing. So Sylvanas Windrunner, very controversial figure right now for her like shitty character progression. I'm gonna try not derail myself too much in talking about that, but I do think they did a pretty piss poor job with her whole shtick. It doesn't make a lot of sense. People are like, oh, read the little books, and if you read the book excerpts that supposedly justify her actions, that she's just a fucking idiot. That pretty much, I guess that's a justification. Anyway, point is, Sylvanas talks all about how she wants to kill hope, and you know, really wants to get rid of all the night elves. Funny thing is, Yogg Saron, one of the old gods, refers to himself as Hope's End. He's also a god of death, perhaps the god of death, considering he's one of the old gods of Azeroth, right? And Sylvanas refers to herself as like, I am death, and all that shit. So that's a little bit. That's a little bit of a interesting coincidence, right? Okay, so that's not that much. Here's where it really gets interesting. So if we go way back to World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King, okay? Now I'm gonna steal from some various Reddit posts, as well as my own Reddit post on this, because I want to spend some time on Wowhead, hunting up any extra details people might have missed, found some interesting things. So anyway, in some extra content back in from Wrath of the Lich King era, in-universe chronology-wise, right? Sylvanas falls onto Saronite from the top of Icecrown Citadel and splatters, you know, like gets impaled on it, I guess. It sounds a little more gory than that, but anyway, so she gets impaled on Saronite and is just completely dies on it, and she gets revived later on. But here's the thing, she has these visions while she's impaled on Saronite, which is the blood of Yogg Saron, and this supposedly makes her very terrified of death later on, right? When she comes back, and that's funny. And in the following year, she starts to hear whispers. Now that's interesting. It's interesting because if you go into various areas where there's a lot of Saronite, you will hear these creepy whispers of Yogg Saron, like "Let hatred and rage guide your blows," and other, you know, creepy things. I had a list of them up, but I lost it. There's a lot of other good ones, like "You will betray your allies" and all this shit. Bow down before the god of death, that kind of thing. So that's interesting. You know, when she talks to in her Warbringers thing, right, where she talks to that dying night elf, she says, "This is war," and it's like, no, this is hatred and rage. It sounds an awful lot like Yogg Saron and some of his lines, which talk about hatred and rage. And so basically, the Saronite corruption, which is supposedly doesn't infect undead, will influence you in that way, right? Someone who gets infected by it, corrupted by it. They'll be consumed with hatred and rage, betray their allies, and just generally go around slaughtering everyone. So supposedly undead can't be corrupted by it, but at the same time, there aren't really a whole lot of other undead running around who just were impaled on Saronite and died and then revived. Besides Sylvanas Windrunner. So she might be somewhat of an exception here. Now, this is a little bit of a more of a reach, but I believe it just because it makes sense for there to be some symmetry here. That N'Zoth, is that how you pronounce it? N'Zoth is manipulating the Alliance. So, there are some lines that say stuff like this. N'Zoth, when you kill Il'gynoth, it's that huge blood eye pustule thing, right? Yeah. Back in when was this? Oh, it was this expansion. I know I've done this, but when the fuck did I kill this thing? Okay, so he has a line where he says the boy king serves at the master's table. The master, presumably being N'Zoth. 3 lies he will offer you. So the master also could be an avatar of N'Zoth, or someone controlled by him. So there's speculation that maybe Gen Greymane is being manipulated by N'Zoth, right? Because it seems like a bit of a reach for Anduin to be directly corrupted. Could be the case entirely, but we haven't seen an indication of how exactly. And he really seems to be acting in such a way as to not really go along with N'Zoth's plans, probable plans at least. Gen Greymane, on the other hand, is probably Gen Greymane could his actions could be reliably construed as perhaps benefiting the old gods. Now, there's also some speculation that Magni Bronzebeard has been made a pawn of Yogg Saron. Yeah. How was that again? Fuck. I know there was a good reason for this, but I looked it up afterwards. Someone just claims it in a Reddit post. I'm like, there's a reason though. There's some event with him where there's like some old god shenanigans are hinted at is why. I'm not 100% convinced by it actually, but that would make sense. So possibly N'Zoth and Yogg Saron are manipulating the Alliance into conflict. There's even some events in game that maybe suggest that Yogg Saron and N'Zoth aren't totally opposed. It seems to be the case that traditionally they are, but perhaps they're willing to work together a little bit to weaken Azeroth so that they can corrupt it. Now, this is all very interesting, but it's not nearly the end of the speculation. So this is really the weaker part of the speculation, in my opinion. Now, I read into it myself, and what I found was something really a lot more obvious, right? So we're waiting on, and I think it's coming like any hour now today. Supposedly, Queen Azara's. Am I pronouncing that right? Azara. Queen Azara's. That's going in the video because I don't have time to edit it. Queen Azara's Warbringer video because I don't know, because she's one of the Warbringers, right? She has a Warbringer video. So, funny thing about Queen Azara is that she's kind of directly a pawn of N'Zoth. So that's a little bit on the nose. But it's worse than that, right? So Queen Azara, way back in time, gets sucked into the Maelstrom and sucked beneath the crushing waves and transformed by some sort of malevolent ancient power beneath the waves into the Naga. That's how the Naga come to be. So the Naga, perhaps all of them are pawns of N'Zoth, or at least, somewhat under his sway, his people, you could say, or whatnot, right? So he transformed her and her Highborn into Naga, probably. This isn't directly confirmed, but she ends up doing N'Zoth's bidding during Cataclysm. The whole expansion of Cataclysm is, of course, caused by N'Zoth, because he is the one who manipulates Deathwing into doing everything he does during that expansion pack. And there's this great... Shit, now I can't show it, right? Maybe I'll link it. I went and bothered to take a screenshot of it, but if you look at the Warbringers animated shorts, right? the trailer for the Warbringer shorts. There is one shot we haven't seen yet, so it's presumably part of Queen Azara's short, where there's a bunch of creepy looking orange eye things. Well, you know who has creepy looking orange eyes? Azeroth has creepy looking orange eyes. They don't look like they're actually his, but perhaps some sort of freaky minion of his, or something else from the Dreamlands, you know, the fucking creepy sunken city below the waves, which is Relay, right? But it's going to be called something else in World of Warcraft, obviously. I think mentioned earlier, right? Is this right? Oh god, I can't. It's hard enough for me to pronounce Relay, man. Come on. Nyalotha, I think is the World of Warcraft name for it, right? So yeah, and Azeroth looks awfully familiar considering those orange eyes. They're very similar. The color's a little bit different, but I mean different artists, right? So it's probably a pawn of his or something. But that is not the end of it. So the Dragon Soul is what we use to defeat Deathwing in Cataclysm. So, you know, it just... who is it all that does it? Like Thrall and some other fucking people that are important to lore power up the Dragon Soul so that it can be used to kill Deathwing. And it just obliterates Deathwing, no problem. Awesome, right? The Dragon Soul, the thing is, the Dragon Soul is kind of like the World of Warcraft version of the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. It was intended to be used to, you know, dominate Azeroth and conquer the world type thing. And we power up the shit out of it, but that's okay, right? Because we go back in time for where we stole it in the first place, and we put it on top of where it's like hovering above the well of eternity that gets destroyed and turned into the Maelstrom, right? So that's cool, no problem, except that means that it falls into the ocean and is sucked down to the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of the Maelstrom, where Queen Azara is sucked down to, where Azeroth transforms her and her people into the Naga. So what's happening here is that as a result of events that Azeroth set into motion, right? So he causes Cataclysm, the expansion pack, to happen. It's his fault. It's all according to Keikaku, as far as he's concerned. As a result of the end of that expansion pack, a powerful, very usable for evil artifact is powered up even further and delivered right to where Azeroth is imprisoned. Okay, so that's probably bad. And Queen Azara is going to be a Warbringer in this expansion. So, call me crazy, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Queen Azara is going to be doing some fucking totally extremist night elf, or not night elf anymore, elf Hitler, now Naga Hitler crap, and Azeroth is behind all of it. And probably will break free and we'll have to go kill him or something. Very good odds, I would say. He's the only old god we haven't seen yet, so I think he might be featured in some way this expansion, when we consider that Queen Azara is going to be a big deal in it. Seems highly likely. This isn't really even the end of all the good speculation there is about this. There was another Reddit thread a while back that I did not save. That had some other pretty decent, like, you know, speculation for this being all directed by the old gods, basically. But there's just one other thing that occurred to me that's perhaps very obvious, but people don't seem to be mentioning enough. So, you know, the whole theme of the next expansion is we're going to use Azerite weapons, which is made out of the blood of Azeroth. So why is Azerite so powerful? Well, Azeroth, the planet in World of Warcraft, is a Titan, right? Or it's a, you know, baby Titan, whatever. You know, you have a world soul, and that forms into a planet, Azeroth, which becomes a Titan at some point. And so that's why it's so powerful. And the whole purpose of the old gods is to corrupt world souls, so that some fucks, who was it? I forget, the void gods or void lords or whatever, could get control of a Titan. That was kind of the whole thing. And so these things, Azeroth and Yogg-Saron, they exist to corrupt world souls. Now, seems like an awfully big coincidence that we'd have all these old god hints coming at us this expansion when the whole expansion is about us utilizing basically bits of the world soul, the blood of the world soul. So, seems awfully convenient that these hinted at enemies are basically the specialists at corrupting world soul stuff, and we're using that as our main source of power, this expansion. So definitely not a horror expansion. Zero chance I would say that this is actually going to turn out to be Battle for Azeroth. The old gods are fucking coming for you. Of course, there's also the possibility that this is all just like a crazy coincidence from the fact that the game has too much lore bloat, and the developers are shaking their heads at this. This is total insanity, and we're gonna have a really boring fuck other faction, let's kill each other expansion, which I kind of hope is not going to be the case, because I came back to play this game again, not really because I expected the expansion to be all that interesting. I think the whole like, the Horde and Alliance are going at it again thing is kind of worn out by now. I mean, it was cool almost 14 years ago. We've been at it for a long time, and they keep fucking teasing us with this whole like, the Horde and Alliance are working together again. Oh, now they're not, and now they are, and now they're not, and now they are, and now they're not, and now they are, and now they're not. So heading back into the meat grinder of Horde versus Alliance, I think it's a little generic. It's a little been there, done that. And I love to see this be a bait and switch, and the Horde and Alliance being manipulated by the old gods and all that jazz. I think that'd be much more interesting. It's not necessarily like the most amazing plot twist ever. It might be, if it is that, it's a little obvious. If it's not that, it's actually pretty surprising at this point. But I'd prefer it. I think it'd be a little more interesting to not just kind of like keep. Well, I mean, it's kind of already happened that they've kept up the conflict, but yeah. I'd like to see things go in a little bit of a new direction. I kind of wish they'd I don't know, do something else with the faction warfare entirely, right? Do like a faction warfare rework. Do something interesting. It's probably not possible. The game's old as shit. Yeah, so where I want to end this video, I think that pretty much covers it. I think this is going to be about the old gods, really. Probably. Hopefully. The mechanics of the game in the next expansion should be pretty fun, at least enough to beat out every other option for MMOs to play these days, in my opinion. But I think it'll be pretty cool. I'd love to see some horror, old god bullshit, and probably has better raid possibilities, right? I don't know where we're really going to go with the raids otherwise. What is it going to be like? The Horde get to go kill Anduin, we get to go kill Sylvanas. That's like the end game of raiding for this expansion pack. Otherwise, where is it going to go? Come on. What are we going to do? That's not as epic as killing fucking the eldritch horrors from H.P. Lovecraft, right? Yeah, now I'm just fantasizing with that. Should be fun. Should be fun. All right, see you guys all later. This video went on too long anyway, and now I'm gonna really struggle to upload this before I have to leave for work. Bye.